Hey there Amstrad fans and YouTubers, and today we've got quite a special review for you of a game called Fluff, which is basically a plus only game for the Amstrad Plus machines. It's one of the very few commercially released games for the Plus machines only, the other two being Space Gun from Ocean and The Eagle Returns from Lorry Seals, which is a French only game. And it's from Radical Software and a chap called Rob Buckley. And if you read Retro Gamer magazine this month, the one with Donkey Kong on the cover, I think it's issue 83, there's a big feature on Radical Software which goes into great detail about Rob and his company, who released quite a few games. I think they're pretty much the last company to release anything for the Amstrad, along with Mega Blasters and Ball Bearing and a few other games as well. Now onto Fluff. That isn't actually the box art for it, it's something I've mocked up that it might have looked like if it was released on cartridge. Just me having a little bit of fun there. But Amstrad Action magazine made a big fuss of it at the time. They had a cover feature there, and there's 2 pages that issue dedicated to a preview. And pretty much I think it was the issue after they actually reviewed the game. Amstrad Action called it perhaps Amstrad's answer to Sonic and Mario. Well, it wasn't quite, but it's still a really good game. And the reason I sort of mention Amstrad Action is when they did that cover feature in the preview, basically they called up Rob Buckley, the programmer, literally, I don't know, maybe a few weeks before it went to print, and said, give us your Fluff game. We're doing a feature on it, and it wasn't. I don't think it was even anywhere near finished, according to Rob anyway. So he sent a very sort of basic version of the game across, and then basically had to rush to get it finished in time for the next issue when they actually reviewed it, which is quite important when you actually view this game, because it is a fantastic game, and it's got the potential to be one of the greatest ever Amstrad games. Unfortunately, I think with the pressure from Amstrad Action sort of breathing down Paul Rob's neck, obviously he basically had to rush the game, and so yeah, look out for a few bugs, a few problems here and there, and some level design that's a little bit questionable. But I'll come on to that when I start the game up. That was a nice title screen and music there. I was a little bit embarrassed actually, because it turns out Rob Buckley, the programmer, has been on basically the same forums that I've been chatting on for years, including the CPC wiki forum, which pretty much everyone on the Amstrad scene chats on these days. I had no idea it was him, and I posted a topic about Fluff, sort of questioning a few sort of choices in the level design, and if people could make a level designer for it, to sort of make some new levels of Fluff, like they're doing at the moment with R-Type. That's getting a revamp, as well as the Great Gianni Sisters. I thought, well, this might be ripe for a remake and a few new levels. And Rob popped up on the forums and said, hey, it was me, and I've been chatting to him for years on there, so I was a little bit embarrassed by that, but he's been very gracious and been very nice chatting to me today about the game and what went on with programming in it. Now, I'll have to mention that the emulation here isn't perfect. For example, that scrolling raster bar going up and down, and the scrolling text at the top there. On a real Plus machine, that's nice and smooth, and the raster bar going up and down is graduated pixel by pixel with beautiful shaded colours. But anyway, let's start the game up, which we have. And wow, you can see the speed already there, and it's pixel smooth scrolling. And as Rob has told me as well, this is running at 50 frames per second. And I can't think of another Amstrad game that's occurring on. We've also got we've got pretty much about 60 colours on screen as well. And I think Rob was telling me today, I think it's got about 15 colours for the background, 15 colours for your sprites, and about 25 for the colour line splits in the background. But bear in mind as well, I've tried this game on a Real Plus. I do actually have it, and the backgrounds do look much better on the Real Plus for some reason. Unfortunately, on the WinApe emulator, which is the only emulator that can do Plus games, it hasn't really come out very well, and some of the colours are a little bit off. You'll see later on, I think there's some browns that sort of turn into reds, unfortunately, but that'll be something the WinApe author will probably work on at some point in the next release. But as you can see, it's a great platforming action. Yeah, I mean, it's no Sonic the Hedgehog, but for a platformer, it's as good as any sort of 16-bit game. It's smooth, it's fast, it's colourful, it's got great music. That's his Fluff special attack move there. He can do a little spinny thing. And you might notice there as well, there's some problems with a sprite that's sort of phantomly appearing there like a ghost. That's another thing that Rob basically didn't have time to sort of iron out. He's explained it to me in detail what the problem was. I didn't quite understand everything, he told me, but you know, that could be something maybe Rob or some other clever programmer might take the time to work on and fix in the game. And basically, yeah, you just seen there, you need to rescue your 4 children. There was one of them I just rescued. What was the story? I think here's a background story. Help Fluff rescue her children. And there's 4 of them who have lost themselves in the terrifying Fluffland. 12 zones. Well, it says 12 zones. I think there's only 7 actually. But anyway, 12 zones of hardcore scrolling action and stunning graphics go to make this the nearest thing to console action that has ever appeared on a Plus machine. Yeah, pretty simple backstory, of course. You control Fluff there, and you rescuing 4 children on each level. How our 4 children get lost each time, I don't know. There's lots of things happening on the screen, of course. There's obviously fruit to pick up there, give you energy, and we've got these sort of springs, lifts. Those two yellowish dots, orangey dots there, they're warp points. We're going to leave that for now. Lots of great sprites. And we do have a little bit of distortion occurring at the top of the screen there. If you look at the top 2 sort of lines, not sure what that's about, but I think we can just ignore that. There's another one of our children there in the top left. Little green dude. Okay. It's quite a funky piece of music actually. The music was done by Richard Fairhurst. Many of you might remember him from Amstrad Action magazine primarily. He did all the technical forum columns after Adam Waring left the magazine. He did that for quite a few years actually, and he also programmed a huge amount of stuff on the Amstrad, from basically desktop, like a Windows system. I think it was called DES, D-E-S. It even did like a route planner, a bit like like your TomTom and Google Maps for the Amstrad, believe it or not. Yeah, I think he did a few games, but it was mostly utilities and other stuff. He did the music in this game. But everything else is purely Rob. Graphics he did from his another of his own packages. He did an art package called Smart Plus, which was you could use it for designing basically Plus graphics with all the extra colours and stuff. Now I mentioned the problems with the emulation. That background colours isn't coming out right at all. That should be nicely graduated reds, and then below it graduated blues. Not sure why that's happening. Yeah, and with the music as well, one of the instruments isn't quite right on this emulation. That sort of do-do-do-do noise is on my real Plus. It's kind of a robotic metallic sound, a bit like R2-D2 having an orgasm. So really, if you want to appreciate this game, you need to download the ROM and basically copy it to disk and run it on your real Plus machine. And those trees there come out sort of very ready. They're actually a very, very nice shade of brown on the real Plus. This bit's quite annoying. There's quite a bit of annoying sections in this game. I've not really sort of talked about the gameplay and level design much yet. Plenty of time to do that because we've got 2 parts to this game. But it's quite confusing sometimes where you need to go, and you know, the whole plane area gets quite cluttered. I don't like how there's nothing on the bottom there. You're sort of walking on what feels like you should be sort of dropping through thin air. Now you can't drop down for that small gap, but you can do at that gap. You know, there's like little inconsistencies like that that sort of begin to sort of irritate me a little bit. There's also, I think on the previous level, there's also a warp point that if you jump on that warp point, it will take you to the end of the level where you're basically stuck and can't get back, because if you haven't got all your other children, you're stuck there, and then basically you have to sort of restart your machine. There's my last child there on this level. We just need to, I'm going to jump across and get that extra life. Yeah, the collision detection can seem a little bit iffy sometimes. It's certainly very sort of pixel perfect sort of collision detection. But sometimes you're losing energy and you're not sure why. I forgot to mention there was a sort of an area in the on the very first level where it just looks like a normal platform, and suddenly you see your energy draining. There's nothing there. I don't know if that's sprite problems or not. I haven't sort of seen it reoccur in any of the much of the other later levels. Oops, just killed myself there. Now I'll come back to level design again a bit later, but this is a slightly different level because it's automatically scrolling. And basically, if you get stuck a core, or your Fluff sprite hits the far left edge of the screen, you lose a life and you have to start all over again. So a nice little bit of twist to the platforming action. Nice that Rob's put in something a little bit different just to break up the action a little bit. I think that, but yeah, that fly at the top, that's got a bit of a sprite problem there. The upper half of the sprite is appearing at the lower half for some reason. Oh well. Oh, this bit's a swine. Stay on that bit there for as long as you can, and you're going to have to do a massive run and jump and hope you don't get killed by the spikes. Hopefully at the end there's some nice fruit to restore your energy. Yeah, that the top of the water there isn't appearing right on the emulation as well. That looks obviously looks a bit different on the Real Plus. That's correctly sort of shimmering, and there's a weird sort of distortion there in the middle. I don't know how that's occurred. So we're reaching the end of this level and the end of the first part of the video, and so far I've really enjoyed the game. It's a really good platformer, and genuinely quite fun to play. I'll talk more about sort of gameplay faults in the next video, but this is genuinely good platforming and fun. And we'll talk a little bit more about other things I may have missed out, and how the sort of game was put together as well, and what else you can find from Rob. So I'll see you in the next part. Cheers.